My name is Dr. Alexander Ivanov, and what I am about to recount is a tale that haunts my every waking moment. It is a story of a scientific endeavor that spiraled into a nightmare beyond comprehension, an experiment that would forever be etched into the annals of history as the Russian sleep experiment. It was the height of the Cold War, and the Soviet Union, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, embarked on a clandestine project that sought to push the boundaries of human endurance. The premise was simple yet sinister: 5 volunteers, isolated in a sealed chamber for 30 days, deprived of sleep to observe the effects on their minds and bodies, as the chief researcher overseeing the experiment. I was both fascinated and apprehensive. The chamber, equipped with monitoring equipment and a two-way communication system, held an air of oppressive anticipation. The volunteers, hand-picked for their physical and psychological resilience, entered with a sense of duty and a hint of trepidation. In the early days, the volunteers exhibited remarkable fortitude. They engaged in conversation, played games, and even discussed their dreams of the outside world. But as the days wore on, the cracks began to appear. Their speech grew slurred, their movements lethargic, and their eyes, once bright with determination, now held a vacant, hollow gaze. By the end of the second week, the true toll of sleep deprivation had become evident. The volunteers' cognitive functions began to deteriorate, their grasp on reality slipping through their fingers like sand. They spoke of shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the chamber, and their once coherent thoughts now tumbled into a disjointed stream of consciousness. It was then that the true horrors of the experiment began to surface. One volunteer, known only as Subject 5, descended into a state of abject madness. He clawed at the walls, his eyes wide with terror, as he screamed incoherent phrases that echoed through the chamber. The others, now teetering on the brink of sanity, whispered of a malevolent presence that seemed to seep from the very walls. It was a darkness that defied explanation, a force that preyed on their fraying minds. As the days stretched into the third week, I faced a moral dilemma of unprecedented magnitude. The volunteers' deteriorating state clashed with my duty as a scientist, and I grappled with the decision to terminate the experiment. Yet, the weight of history and the pursuit of knowledge held me captive, binding me to a path of unthinkable consequences. As the days crawled on, the chamber became a maelstrom of delirium and despair. The volunteers, once resilient and composed, now bore the marks of their unrelenting ordeal. Their once piercing eyes were now sunken and bloodshot, their bodies mere husks of their former selves. Subject 5, the harbinger of the encroaching darkness, had descended further into madness. He no longer spoke coherent words, but instead emitted guttural, primal sounds that reverberated through the chamber. His once healthy frame had withered, his movements reduced to convulsive spasms. The others, though still able to form sentences, were haunted by hallucinations that danced at the periphery of their vision. They spoke of grotesque figures with hollow eyes and twisted smiles, a nightmarish procession that seemed to mock their fractured minds. Too, felt the weight of the experiment pressing down on me, a suffocating guilt that clawed at my conscience. I questioned the morality of my actions, but the relentless pursuit of knowledge had become an insidious force, urging me to continue. In a desperate bid to maintain some semblance of control, I ordered the chamber to be flooded with a stimulant gas, hoping to stave off the encroaching madness. But instead of clarity, the gas seemed to intensify the horrors that plagued the volunteers. Their screams echoed through the chamber, a symphony of torment that reverberated in my ears. The walls themselves seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if absorbing the suffering that filled the air. It was then that I made the decision that would forever haunt my soul. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, I ordered the gas to be replaced with a toxic compound, bringing an end to the suffering of the volunteers. As the chamber fell silent, a suffocating stillness settled over me. The weight of my actions bore down on me, a crushing realization that the pursuit of knowledge had come at a terrible cost. To this day, the specter of the Russian sleep experiment haunts my every waking moment. It is a reminder of the unforgiving nature of scientific inquiry, and the boundaries that should never be crossed. In the aftermath of that fateful decision, a heavy silence hung over the chamber, broken only by the faint hum of machinery. The air was thick with the lingering scent of desperation and despair. As I gazed upon the lifeless forms of the volunteers, a profound sense of emptiness settled over me. Their sacrifice, though born of a twisted pursuit of knowledge, was a testament to the unfathomable depths of the human spirit. With a heavy heart, I ordered the chamber to be sealed, forever entombing the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The truth of the Russian sleep experiment was too dark, too monstrous to ever be revealed, yet, in the years that followed, the specter of that experiment continued to haunt me. Sleep became a fractured respite, plagued by nightmarish visions of hollow-eyed figures and anguished screams. The weight of guilt and remorse bore down on me, a burden that I could never truly escape. In the decades that passed, I sought solace in the pursuit of humanitarian research, a desperate attempt to atone for the sins of my past. But the shadow of the Russian sleep experiment remained, an indelible mark on my soul. It was only in the twilight of my years that I found a semblance of peace, a fragile reconciliation with the past. I vowed to dedicate the remainder of my life to the betterment of humanity, to ensure that no one would ever again tread the dark path that I had walked. As I pen these final words, I do so with a weary heart, burdened by the knowledge of the darkness that resides within us all. The Russian sleep experiment stands as a chilling reminder of the cost of unchecked ambition, a cautionary tale for those who dare to dance on the precipice of the unknown. May this account serve as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, both in its capacity for creation and its capacity for destruction. In the waning years of my life, I have come to understand the true gravity of my actions. The Russian sleep experiment is a specter that will forever linger in the corridors of my conscience, a reminder of the darkness that can be born from the pursuit of knowledge. As I reflect upon the lives that were lost, I am haunted by the faces of the volunteers, their eyes, once filled with hope and determination, now etched with the scars of their torment. They were not mere subjects, they were human beings, thrust into a nightmare from which there was no awakening. The weight of guilt has been my constant companion, a silent specter that has walked beside me through the years. I have sought solace in the knowledge that my later work has contributed to the betterment of humanity. But the stain of the Russian sleep experiment can never truly be washed away. In the twilight of my existence, I find myself yearning for absolution, a glimmer of hope that my later contributions may serve as a small measure of redemption. I implore those who read these words to heed the cautionary tale that is woven into the fabric of this account. Let the Russian sleep experiment serve as a testament to the delicate balance that must be struck between the pursuit of knowledge and the preservation of human dignity. Let it stand as a solemn reminder that the shadows of the past have the power to shape our future. As I prepare to face the final descent into the unknown, I do so with a heart heavy with remorse, but also with a glimmer of hope that my words may serve as a beacon of caution for those who tread the treacherous path of scientific inquiry.